The gallery was alive with the hum of excitement as I stood near the entrance, my eyes scanning the crowd. The light from the spotlights made the room glow, casting playful shadows that danced across the walls. I caught sight of Michelle, my wife, in a striking black dress, engaged in animated conversation with Edward Merton, the renowned art critic. Their laughter mingled with the clinking of champagne glasses, and I couldn't shake the feeling that there was something unsettling about their proximity. As the evening wore on, I found myself growing increasingly uneasy. I'd always known that Michelle had a keen interest in art, but seeing her so engrossed with Edward felt strangely intimate. The way they looked at each other, those glances and subtle smiles, was too much to ignore. The next morning, my unease turned into something more tangible. While searching for my wallet in Michelle's purse, I stumbled upon a letter. The envelope was addressed to Edward in her elegant script, but it was the content that stunned me. Inside, Michelle had written words that spoke of affection, longing, and a secret relationship. My hands trembled as I read through it. My mind raced with a mix of betrayal and anger. The reality hit me like a cold wave. I had been living a lie. Determined to uncover the full truth, I began my covert investigation. I followed Michelle and Edward discreetly, observing their interactions. It became clear that their affair was more than just a fleeting attraction, it was something deeper. Something that threatened to upend everything I thought I knew about my life. One evening, my suspicions were confirmed. I found them at a boutique hotel, a place Edward frequented. I watched from a distance as they entered the hotel together, and my heart sank. The scene that unfolded inside only solidified my resolve. Michelle's tears and Edward's comforting words were a stark reminder of the betrayal. I knew I had to act. My plan was simple yet ruthless. I would exact my revenge by undermining Edward's credibility, the very thing that had elevated him to prominence. I decided to manipulate my own art career to achieve this goal. The artworks that had previously been dismissed, the ones that Edward had criticized, would now be showcased in a new light. I meticulously planned a new exhibition, deliberately choosing to highlight those very pieces. The opening night arrived, and the gallery buzzed with anticipation. As I presented my work, I intentionally focused on the pieces that Edward had once disparaged. The transformation was remarkable. I presented them as if they were the pinnacle of artistic brilliance, hoping to shift public perception. To my surprise, the exhibition was a hit. People marveled at the so-called masterpieces, and critics began to reevaluate my work. The tide was turning, and it wasn't long before Edward's star began to wane. His reviews grew increasingly negative, his reputation tarnished by the newfound acclaim of my previously overlooked pieces. The victory felt hollow. As my career soared, I couldn't ignore the growing realization that my scheme had repercussions beyond my own success. Edward's fall from grace was not just collateral damage, it was a direct result of my actions. I could see the ripple effects on his life, on his reputation, and on mine. The initial satisfaction of my revenge gave way to a gnawing sense of regret. My own reputation, once secure, was now tainted by the very tactics I had employed to bring down Edward. The irony of it all struck me deeply. I had sought to destroy another's life, only to find that I had compromised my own. As I grappled with the fallout, I knew I needed to reevaluate my priorities. My pursuit of vengeance had led me down a path that was as destructive as it was unfulfilling. The challenge now was to find a way to rebuild, not just my career, but my life, and to face the consequences of my actions with a sense of purpose. The aftermath of the exhibition was both exhilarating and unsettling. The buzz of the art world had shifted from Edward's critiques to the renewed interest in my work. Critics who once dismissed my pieces now praised them, and galleries sought my art with a fervor I hadn't seen before. I reveled in the newfound success, but beneath the surface, a storm was brewing. One evening, as I was working late in my studio, my phone rang. It was a call from an old friend, a journalist who had been following the art scene closely. He wanted to discuss my recent exhibition and the sudden shift in critical reception. I agreed to meet him, hoping that discussing my success might offer some solace. We met at a quiet cafe, and as I sipped my coffee, my friend's questions grew more probing. "People are talking," he said, his eyes narrowing. "Some say your recent success is tied to Edward Merton's downfall. What's your take on that?" His words struck a nerve. I had managed to avoid the media scrutiny so far, but now it seemed that the whispers were growing louder. I deflected the questions, offering vague responses about the evolution of my art. Yet, as I left the cafe, I couldn't shake the feeling that the shadows of my actions were closing in on me. Back in the studio, I was haunted by the images of Edward's once prominent career crumbling. I had expected some backlash, but the scale of it was overwhelming. He had been a key figure in the art world, and his fall was affecting more than just his own reputation. Art enthusiasts and critics who once revered him now viewed him with disdain. Weeks passed, and the repercussions of my actions became more apparent. My new success brought invitations to high-profile events and interviews. But every accolade seemed tainted by the knowledge of my role in Edward's decline. I was haunted by the thought that my achievements were built on the ruins of someone else's life. The situation reached a turning point when Edward's name appeared in an article with a headline accusing him of professional misconduct. The piece was clearly an attack aimed at further damaging his already fragile reputation. I recognized the tactics used; they were the same methods I had employed, just with a different target. The parallels were too stark to ignore. It wasn't long before Edward himself contacted me. His voice on the phone was a mixture of sadness and anger. "I know it was you," he said, his tone sharp. "You've used your success to destroy me, and now it's reaching a point where it's not just affecting my career but my life." His words stung. I tried to defend myself, to explain that it was never intended to go this far. But deep down, I knew I couldn't deny the truth. My actions had far-reaching consequences. And the lines between right and wrong had blurred beyond recognition. Later that night, I sat alone in my studio, staring at the canvases that had once been a source of pride. The art that had elevated me now felt like a facade, a hollow shell built on the suffering of another. The thrill of my success had diminished, replaced by a profound sense of guilt and disillusionment. I began to question my motives and the cost of my revenge. The admiration and fame I had sought now felt meaningless in the face of the damage I had wrought. My career was flourishing, but my soul was in turmoil. The pursuit of vengeance had led me to a place I had never imagined, and the emptiness left in its wake was a stark reminder of the price I had paid. As I grappled with my actions, I realized that the true challenge lay not in rebuilding my career but in reconciling with the person I had become. The path to redemption, if it existed, seemed daunting and unclear. But it was a journey I had to undertake, not just for my own sake, but for the sake of the lives I had disrupted along the way. The days following my conversation with Edward were a blur of introspection and mounting tension. The success I had longed for now felt hollow, and my thoughts were consumed by the mess I had created. I began to see my art not as a triumph but as a symbol of my moral failure. Each brushstroke on the canvas seemed to mock my choices. Michelle remained a ghost in our home. The guilt over the affair and its consequences had cast a shadow over our relationship. Her attempts to reconcile felt insincere, and I found myself avoiding conversations about our future. Our once shared dreams now seemed like distant echoes, drowned out by the chaos I had unleashed. One afternoon, as I was preparing for yet another high-profile gallery event, I received a message from Michelle. She requested to meet and discuss our future. My initial reaction was to dismiss it, but I knew I needed closure. I agreed to meet her at a small cafe downtown, a place where we had once shared moments of quiet intimacy. Michelle arrived looking weary. Her eyes held a depth of sadness that mirrored my own. We exchanged awkward pleasantries before diving into the heart of the matter. "I know things have been difficult," she began, her voice trembling. "But I want to understand what happened. I need to know why you did it." Her question cut through me like a knife. I had tried to justify my actions, to tell myself that I was reclaiming control. But facing her now, I realized how empty those justifications were. It was about revenge, I admitted, my voice heavy with regret. I wanted to make Edward pay for what he did. I thought it would make me feel better. Michelle's eyes filled with tears. But it didn't, did it? It only made everything worse. Her words resonated with a painful truth. My actions had not only destroyed Edward's career but had also eroded the foundation of our relationship. We spent hours talking, unraveling the tangled mess of our lives. Michelle revealed her own regrets about the affair, the confusion and loneliness that had led her into Edward's arms. It was a raw and vulnerable conversation, one that left us both emotionally drained. We both had been lost in our own worlds, and the collision of our failures had created a chasm too wide to bridge easily. As we parted ways, I felt a strange mixture of relief and sorrow. The meeting had brought some clarity but also underscored the depth of the damage I had caused. My thoughts turned to Edward, who had become an increasingly tragic figure in the art world. His reputation had plummeted, and his once loyal following had turned their backs on him. I had succeeded in my revenge, but at what cost? That night, I found myself staring at the latest headlines. An article detailed Edward's struggle and hinted at the larger forces at play, subtly suggesting that my own rise was intricately linked to his fall. It was as though the universe was conspiring to remind me of the consequences of my actions. I decided it was time to reach out to Edward once more. I needed to face him, not just to apologize but to find a way to make amends. My attempt to destroy him had only led to my own unraveling. As I dialed his number, my hands trembled. I wasn't sure what to expect, but I knew I had to confront the truth of my actions and seek some form of reconciliation. When Edward answered, his voice was guarded but not hostile. We agreed to meet at a quiet park, a neutral ground where we could talk without the pressures of the art world hanging over us. As I prepared for the meeting, I hoped that this confrontation could be the first step towards healing for both of us. The road to redemption would be long and fraught with difficulties, but I had to start somewhere. Facing the wreckage I had caused was the only way to move forward, to reclaim a sense of integrity and find a path that wasn't defined by vengeance and regret. The park where Edward and I agreed to meet was serene, its tranquility a stark contrast to the turmoil of my recent months. As I approached, I saw him seated on a bench under the canopy of a large oak tree. His face was etched with lines of fatigue and disillusionment, but there was a quiet dignity in his posture. "Peter," he greeted me, his voice restrained but not unkind. I sat beside him, the weight of our shared past hanging heavily between us. "I wanted to see you," I began, struggling to find the right words. "I need to explain why I did what I did. I need to take responsibility." Edward looked at me, his gaze steady. "I'm listening." I was consumed by anger, I confessed. "I wanted to hurt you the way you hurt me, but I didn't realize how far-reaching the consequences would be. My actions were driven by vengeance, and they've left a trail of destruction." He sighed, rubbing his temples. "It's not just about you and me. The art world is a small place. When one person falls, others are affected. I'm paying the price for more than just your revenge." The admission stung, but I knew it was the truth. I had thought only of my own pain, neglecting the broader impact of my actions. "I'm deeply sorry for everything," I said earnestly. "I never intended for it to go this far. I've realized that my pursuit of revenge has cost me more than I could ever have imagined." Edward's eyes softened slightly, but he remained guarded. "Apologies don't undo the damage. I've lost more than just my position in the art world. My reputation, my career, it's all in ruins." "I understand," I replied. "And I want to make things right. As much as I can. I've been thinking about ways to help repair the damage. Maybe I could use my current platform to support your work, to bring attention back to what you've accomplished." He raised an eyebrow, a hint of skepticism in his gaze. "Do you really believe that's possible? The damage is done. How can you undo what's already happened?" "It won't be easy," I admitted. "But it's a start. I want to do more than just apologize. I want to take responsibility and use my success to help repair what's been broken." There was a long pause as Edward considered my offer. "I appreciate the gesture," he said finally, though his tone remained cautious. "But words and intentions are not enough. It's going to take concrete actions to begin mending the rift." I nodded, understanding the gravity of his words. "I'll work on a plan to support you. I can't change the past, but I can work towards making things better." We continued to talk, discussing possible ways to collaborate and to rebuild Edward's standing in the art world. The conversation was difficult and filled with tension, but it was also a step towards a form of reconciliation. As we parted ways, there was a sense of tentative hope. I knew that the road to redemption would be long and arduous, but it was a road I had to travel. In the days that followed, I began to put my plan into action. I reached out to influential figures in the art community, advocating for Edward's work and seeking opportunities to showcase his talent. The process was slow and fraught with obstacles. But it was a start. The journey towards redemption was proving to be more challenging than I had anticipated. The shadows of my past actions continued to loom over me, but I was determined to face them. By acknowledging my mistakes and taking concrete steps to address them, I hoped to find a way to reclaim my integrity and make amends for the harm I had caused. The weeks after my meeting with Edward were a whirlwind of frantic activity. I threw myself into the task of rebuilding his career, using my newfound platform to advocate for his work. My public appearances and interviews now included mentions of Edward's artistry, and I arranged for his pieces to be featured in prestigious galleries and art journals. Every step was met with resistance and skepticism, but I pressed on, driven by a mixture of guilt and determination. Despite my efforts, the road to redemption was steep. Edward's name, once synonymous with brilliance, had been tainted by scandal and backlash. Art collectors and critics who once admired him now hesitated to associate with him, fearing backlash themselves. I could see the strain this was placing on him as he struggled to regain his footing in an industry that had turned its back on him. One evening, as I was reviewing the latest developments, Michelle appeared in my studio. Her presence was unexpected and unwelcome, but I could see the concern in her eyes. "Peter, how's it going with Edward?" she asked tentatively. I looked up from my desk, my frustration evident. "It's a mess. I'm trying everything I can, but it feels like I'm fighting an uphill battle. No one wants to take a chance on him." Michelle took a deep breath. "You're doing a lot, Peter. But maybe there's something more you need to consider. It's not just about the art world. It's about finding a way to truly make amends." Her words hit home. I had been so focused on salvaging Edward's career that I hadn't fully considered the emotional and personal toll of what had transpired. My quest for redemption was becoming a fixation, and in the process, I was losing sight of the human element involved. A few days later, I received an unexpected call from Edward. His voice was subdued. "Peter, I appreciate what you're trying to do, but I need to step back for a while. The pressure and scrutiny are overwhelming. I need time to reassess everything." His decision was a blow. I felt as though the ground had been pulled out from under me. All the efforts, all the attempts to right my wrongs seemed to be unraveling. Edward's retreat meant that the progress we had made was at risk of being undone. Determined to salvage the situation, I arranged a meeting with some influential figures in the art world, hoping to shift their perceptions. I made a heartfelt plea for them to support Edward, emphasizing his talent and the unjust nature of his fall. It was a grueling process, full of doubts and resistance, but I was resolute. Meanwhile, the strain was taking its toll on my personal life. My relationship with Michelle was at a standstill. Our interactions had become strained, with long periods of silence punctuated by terse exchanges. The emotional weight of my actions and the ongoing struggle to rectify them created a chasm between us that seemed insurmountable. One night, as I sat alone in my studio, I reflected on the journey so far. My attempts to mend the damage had been met with mixed results, and the weight of my mistakes was becoming increasingly heavy. I realized that in my pursuit of redemption, I had neglected my own well-being and the people around me. The path to redemption was proving to be more complex than I had anticipated. My efforts to support Edward and rebuild his career were met with challenges, and my personal relationships were suffering. Yet, despite the setbacks, I was determined to see this through. I knew that making amends would not be easy or straightforward, but I was committed to facing the consequences of my actions and finding a way to rebuild what had been broken. As I prepared for the next steps, I reminded myself that true redemption required more than just public gestures. It demanded a genuine effort to understand and address the deeper implications of my actions. The road ahead was uncertain, but it was a path I had to walk, not just for my sake, but for the sake of those I had hurt. I spent the following weeks navigating the fallout from Edward's decision to step back. My attempts to restore his career had been thwarted by the very forces I sought to counteract. The art community remained skeptical, and without his active participation, my efforts felt like shouting into a void. I had hoped for a breakthrough, but instead, I faced the stark reality of the damage that had been done. During this time, Michelle and I reached a breaking point. Our conversations had dwindled to terse exchanges, and the emotional distance between us was palpable. I found myself increasingly isolated, struggling with my own guilt and the mounting pressure to rectify the situation. The weight of my actions seemed to settle heavily on my shoulders, clouding every decision I made. One evening, as I reviewed a new round of negative reviews about Edward's recent exhibition, I received a call from a former colleague of Edward's. Clara, a respected curator who had been sympathetic to my cause. She had reached out with an idea that could potentially make a difference. "Peter, I've been thinking," she said, her voice tinged with a mix of hope and hesitation. What if we organized a retrospective of Edward's work? It could give him a fresh platform and help shift the narrative. The proposal was intriguing. A retrospective could offer a comprehensive look at Edward's career and highlight his contributions to the art world. It was an opportunity to reframe the discussion and perhaps regain some lost ground. Clara agreed to help organize the event, and together, we began planning a showcase that would celebrate Edward's legacy while addressing the controversies that had overshadowed it. As the preparations for the retrospective took shape, I found a renewed sense of purpose. This project offered a chance to focus on Edward's achievements rather than the scandals that had plagued him. However, the road to executing the retrospective was fraught with challenges. Securing venues, coordinating with artists, and managing public relations were complex tasks that tested my resolve. Michelle observed my renewed focus with a mix of curiosity and concern. One night, as we sat in the kitchen, she finally broke the silence. "You're throwing yourself into this retrospective," she said quietly. "But what about us? What are we doing to fix what's broken between us?" Her question struck a chord. I realized that while I was trying to mend the damage to Edward's career, I had neglected to address our own fractured relationship. "I know I've been distant," I admitted. "I've been so consumed with trying to make things right that I've neglected the people who matter most." Michelle nodded, her eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and understanding. "We need to find a way to rebuild our relationship, Peter. We can't keep living in the shadow of the past. We have to face our issues together, just as you're trying to help Edward." Her words were a wake-up call. I knew that repairing our relationship would require the same commitment and honesty that I had been applying to the retrospective. We agreed to seek counseling and work through our issues, recognizing that healing required more than just apologies, it needed genuine effort and understanding. As the day of the retrospective approached, I was filled with a sense of cautious optimism. The event was set to be a significant moment, not just for Edward's career but for my own journey toward redemption. The retrospective was carefully curated to highlight Edward's artistic evolution and the impact of his work. It was a chance to showcase his talent and contributions in a way that had been overshadowed by scandal. On the night of the event, as I looked around the gallery filled with guests, I felt a mixture of relief and apprehension. The retrospective was receiving positive feedback, and it was clear that Edward's work was being appreciated anew. The sight of his art displayed with the respect it deserved was a poignant reminder of the importance of acknowledging and correcting mistakes. In the end, the retrospective marked a new chapter, not just for Edward but for me as well. It was a step toward repairing the damage I had caused and a testament to the power of confronting one's wrongs. The journey was far from over, but it was a significant stride towards finding redemption and reconciling with both the people I had hurt and myself. The retrospective was a success beyond my expectations. Edward's work was met with renewed appreciation, and the gallery buzzed with admiration for the artistry that had been overshadowed by scandal. The positive reviews and the influx of new admirers were a much-needed boost for him, and it was heartening to see him regain some of his lost stature. Yet, as the event concluded and the initial excitement waned, the reality of the situation began to sink in. The retrospective had offered a reprieve, but it was not a panacea. The scars of the past remained, and the art world's memory was long. Edward was cautiously optimistic, but his future was still uncertain. He expressed gratitude for the effort but remained wary of the industry's fickle nature. My own sense of achievement was mixed with lingering doubts. The retrospective had not only been a chance to make amends but also an opportunity to reflect on my actions. I had succeeded in improving Edward's situation, but the broader implications of my quest for revenge still loomed over me. The question remained, had I truly found redemption, or was I merely masking the deeper issues? Michelle and I continued our counseling sessions, making slow but steady progress. The process was challenging, with many difficult conversations and moments of raw honesty. We were both trying to rebuild our trust and communication, and while the road ahead was still fraught with obstacles, there was a glimmer of hope that things could improve. One evening, while we were discussing our progress, Michelle brought up a topic that had been on her mind. "Peter, you've done so much to help Edward, and I see the effort you're putting into fixing things. But have you thought about how you're going to move forward with your own career?" Her question was a poignant reminder that while I had been focused on Edward, my own career and personal growth had taken a backseat. I had been so consumed with the need to make amends that I hadn't fully addressed my own path. I've been so wrapped up in trying to make things right for Edward and for us that I haven't given much thought to what comes next for me, I admitted. Michelle nodded. Maybe it's time you considered what you want from your own future. You've made progress, but finding a way to balance your personal and professional life is crucial. It's not just about fixing the past but also about building a positive future. Her words resonated deeply. I realized that finding redemption wasn't just about addressing past mistakes but also about creating a meaningful and balanced future. I needed to re-evaluate my career goals and personal aspirations, ensuring that they aligned with my values and the lessons I had learned. In the weeks that followed, I began to explore new avenues for my work. I sought out opportunities that allowed me to use my platform for positive change, focusing on projects that promoted emerging artists and supported community initiatives. It was a way to redirect my energy towards something constructive and to create a legacy that was defined by more than just past mistakes. Simultaneously, I continued to support Edward's journey. I helped him navigate the complexities of re-establishing his place in the art world, advocating for him and facilitating connections with potential collaborators. Our professional relationship, once marred by conflict, had transformed into a genuine partnership based on mutual respect and understanding. As I looked at the progress we had made, both personally and professionally, I felt a sense of cautious optimism. The journey of redemption was ongoing, and the path to healing was neither quick nor easy. But with each step, I was working toward a future that was shaped not by past transgressions but by a commitment to growth and positive change. The road ahead was still uncertain, but for the first time in a long while, I felt a sense of direction. The balance between making amends and forging a new path was delicate. But it was one that I was determined to navigate with integrity and purpose. The days following Edward's retrospective were filled with a cautious optimism. He began to re-establish connections within the art world, and the renewed interest in his work was a welcome change. Yet, despite the progress, the challenges of rebuilding a tarnished reputation remained. The art community's fickleness was a constant reminder that Edward's path to full recovery would be long and uncertain. Meanwhile, my own life was beginning to find a new rhythm. The balance between personal and professional pursuits was still delicate, but I felt a sense of direction I hadn't had in months. My efforts to support Edward had opened new opportunities for me, and I found myself increasingly involved in initiatives that promoted artistic integrity and community support. One evening, Michelle and I were having dinner together, a rare moment of calm amidst our busy lives. The conversation drifted to our future plans, and Michelle brought up a topic that had been on her mind. "Peter, I've been thinking about how far we've come, and it feels like we're finally starting to heal. But I wonder, what's next for us?" Her question was a reminder that while we had made significant strides, the journey was far from over. Our relationship had improved, but the underlying issues that led to the crisis still needed addressing. I've been so focused on making amends and rebuilding that I haven't given much thought to our future together. I confessed. "What do you think we should do?" Michelle considered my words thoughtfully. "Maybe it's time we set some goals for ourselves, not just individually, but as a couple. We need to build a future that reflects our growth and the lessons we've learned. It's not just about fixing the past but also about creating a meaningful life together." Her insight resonated with me. We had both been through so much, and it was essential to look forward and build a future that acknowledged our experiences while embracing new possibilities. We decided to focus on shared goals, exploring ways to strengthen our relationship and support each other's dreams. In the following weeks, Michelle and I began to work on our shared vision. We started by setting goals that aligned with both our personal aspirations and our commitment to each other. We explored opportunities for joint projects and began to discuss long-term plans that incorporated our values and interests. As I continued my efforts to support Edward, I also focused on creating new opportunities for collaboration within the art world. My involvement in various projects allowed me to use my platform for positive change, and I was determined to make a meaningful impact. The work was challenging, but it provided a sense of purpose that went beyond personal redemption. One day, as I was preparing for a new initiative, I received a message from Edward. He wanted to meet to discuss a potential collaboration that could benefit both our causes. The idea was intriguing, and I welcomed the opportunity to work together on something that could further our shared goals. When we met, Edward presented a proposal for a collaborative art project aimed at addressing social issues through creative expression. The project would involve emerging artists and provide a platform for exploring important themes while promoting inclusivity and understanding. It was a bold and ambitious idea, and I was excited about the potential impact. We decided to move forward with the project, combining our efforts to support and elevate emerging talent while addressing pressing social issues. The collaboration was a testament to the progress we had made and a reflection of our shared commitment to making a positive difference. As the project took shape, I felt a sense of fulfillment and hope. The journey of redemption had led to unexpected and meaningful connections, and the opportunity to work with Edward on a project that aligned with our values was a significant milestone. The road ahead remained challenging, but with each step, we were building a future defined by integrity, collaboration, and shared purpose. Looking back, I realized that the journey had not only been about making amends but also about creating something valuable and lasting. The path to redemption was complex and ongoing, but it had opened doors to new possibilities and a renewed sense of direction. As we moved forward, I was committed to embracing the lessons learned and continuing to build a life that reflected our growth and aspirations. The collaborative project with Edward had begun to take shape, and its potential was becoming increasingly apparent. The blend of our vision with the creativity of emerging artists promised to create something impactful. As we worked together, I saw how our combined efforts could address important social issues while celebrating artistic expression. The process was invigorating, but it also came with its own set of challenges. Coordinating with multiple artists, managing logistics, and ensuring that the project stayed true to its vision required meticulous planning and constant communication. Throughout this period, Michelle and I continued to strengthen our relationship. We had set clear goals for ourselves and were actively working towards them, but there was still a lot of ground to cover. We found ourselves navigating the delicate balance of rebuilding trust and forging a new path together. The progress we made was encouraging, but it was evident that our journey was ongoing. One afternoon, as I was reviewing project proposals for the collaborative art initiative, Michelle walked into my studio with a look of concern. "Peter, there's something we need to talk about," she said, her voice laced with seriousness. I looked up from my desk, sensing that this was an important conversation. "What's on your mind?" Michelle took a deep breath before speaking. "I've been reflecting on everything that's happened and how much we've been through. I'm worried that while we're making strides, we're also at risk of repeating old patterns. We're focused on the future, but are we truly addressing the issues that led to this point?" Her words struck a chord. I had been so focused on the positive steps forward that I had perhaps overlooked the need for deeper introspection. "I've been trying to move past the mistakes and focus on rebuilding," I admitted. "But I see what you're saying. It's important to not just move forward but to understand the root causes of our issues." Michelle nodded, her expression softening. "Exactly. It's not just about avoiding the mistakes of the past but also about understanding why they happened in the first place. We need to be honest with ourselves about our own vulnerabilities and work on addressing them." We decided to take a step back and dedicate time to individual and joint reflection. It was essential to confront our past issues with a deeper level of honesty and vulnerability. We began attending therapy sessions more regularly, not just as a couple but also individually. This approach allowed us to address personal challenges while also working on our relationship. The sessions were emotionally charged and often difficult, but they provided valuable insights into our behavior and the dynamics of our relationship. We explored the underlying causes of the mistakes we had made and the ways in which our past experiences shaped our actions. This process of self-examination was challenging, but it was necessary for genuine healing and growth. As the collaborative project with Edward continued to evolve, it became clear that it was more than just a professional endeavor. It was a reflection of our personal journeys and a symbol of the progress we had made. The project was not only about artistic expression but also about confronting and addressing social issues with honesty and empathy. One evening, as I reviewed the latest updates on the project and reflected on our ongoing personal work, I felt a renewed sense of clarity. The path to redemption was not a straightforward one, but it was a journey that required continual reflection, growth, and effort. The lessons learned from our past mistakes were invaluable, and they were shaping a more thoughtful and purposeful approach to both our professional and personal lives. The collaborative project was set to launch soon, and the anticipation was palpable. It was a testament to the progress we had made and the potential for positive change. As I prepared for the next steps, I was reminded that true redemption involved more than just making amends. It required an ongoing commitment to understanding, growth, and meaningful action. The road ahead was still filled with uncertainties, but the progress we had made offered hope. The journey had transformed not only our professional endeavors but also our personal lives, guiding us toward a future defined by integrity, understanding, and a shared commitment to making a difference. The launch of the collaborative art project was a defining moment. The gallery was abuzz with anticipation as guests arrived to experience the intersection of creativity and social commentary that we had worked so hard to bring to life. Edward and I stood together, our efforts culminating in a display that showcased both emerging artists and the themes we sought to address. The opening night was a whirlwind of activity. Attendees admired the art, engaged in discussions about the social issues it represented, and offered feedback that was overwhelmingly positive. It was clear that the project had resonated with people on a deeper level. The sense of accomplishment was palpable, but so was the weight of what had come before. This success was not just about the project itself but about the journey we had undertaken to reach this point. Michelle joined me at the event, and we took a moment to step outside for some fresh air. "This is incredible, Peter," she said, her eyes reflecting the pride and relief we both felt. "It's amazing to see all our hard work come together like this." I nodded, feeling a mix of satisfaction and exhaustion. "It is, but I know we still have a lot of work ahead of us. This project is just one part of our journey." Michelle's expression turned thoughtful. "We've made significant progress, but what's next for us? We need to continue building on what we've achieved and not lose sight of our goals." Her insight was a reminder that while the project's success was a milestone, it was not the end of our journey. We had made strides in our personal and professional lives, but maintaining that progress required ongoing effort and commitment. In the weeks following the project's launch, the positive feedback continued to flow, and the impact of the project was evident. Edward's career saw a resurgence of interest, and the collaborative nature of the initiative had fostered new connections and opportunities. It was a gratifying experience to see the fruits of our labor making a difference and contributing to important conversations. For Michelle and me, the post-project period was a time of reflection and recalibration. We continued our counseling sessions, focusing on maintaining the progress we had made and setting new goals for our relationship and individual growth. The challenges we had faced and the lessons we had learned had strengthened our bond, but it was crucial to remain vigilant and proactive in nurturing our connection. One evening, as we sat together discussing our plans for the future, I felt a sense of clarity. "Michelle, I've been thinking about everything we've been through and where we're headed. I want us to focus on creating a future that reflects our values and the growth we've experienced." Michelle smiled, her expression warm and encouraging. "I agree, Peter. We've come a long way, and it's important that we continue to build on this foundation. Let's set some new goals and keep moving forward together." We began to outline our plans, focusing on ways to integrate our personal values with our professional pursuits. We explored opportunities for collaboration and community involvement that aligned with our shared vision. The goal was not just to maintain the progress we had made but to build a future that was meaningful and fulfilling. As I looked back on the journey from the initial crisis to the present, I was struck by how much we had transformed. The path to redemption had been fraught with challenges, but it had also been filled with moments of profound growth and connection. The collaborative project with Edward was a testament to the power of perseverance and the impact of working together towards a common goal. The road ahead was still uncertain, but the progress we had made offered hope and direction. Our journey was ongoing, and we were committed to navigating it with integrity, empathy, and a shared commitment to making a difference. The lessons learned from our experiences had shaped a new perspective, one that valued both personal and professional growth. As we moved forward, I was reminded that true redemption and growth were not destinations but ongoing processes. The journey required continual reflection, adaptation, and a dedication to living authentically. With each step, we were building a future that reflected our shared values and aspirations, and that was a promise worth striving for. The launch of the collaborative art project was a defining moment. The gallery was abuzz with anticipation as guests arrived to experience the intersection of creativity and social commentary that we had worked so hard to bring to life. Edward and I stood together, our efforts culminating in a display that showcased both emerging artists and the themes we sought to address. The opening night was a whirlwind of activity. Attendees admired the art, engaged in discussions about the social issues it represented, and offered feedback that was overwhelmingly positive. It was clear that the project had resonated with people on a deeper level. The sense of accomplishment was palpable, but so was the weight of what had come before. This success was not just about the project itself but about the journey we had undertaken to reach this point. Michelle joined me at the event, and we took a moment to step outside for some fresh air. "This is incredible, Peter," she said, her eyes reflecting the pride and relief we both felt. "It's amazing to see all our hard work come together like this." I nodded, feeling a mix of satisfaction and exhaustion. "It is, but I know we still have a lot of work ahead of us. This project is just one part of our journey." Michelle's expression turned thoughtful. "We've made significant progress, but what's next for us? We need to continue building on what we've achieved and not lose sight of our goals." Her insight was a reminder that while the project's success was a milestone, it was not the end of our journey. We had made strides in our personal and professional lives, but maintaining that progress required ongoing effort and commitment. In the weeks following the project's launch, the positive feedback continued to flow, and the impact of the project was evident. Edward's career saw a resurgence of interest, and the collaborative nature of the initiative had fostered new connections and opportunities. It was a gratifying experience to see the fruits of our labor making a difference and contributing to important conversations. For Michelle and me, the post-project period was a time of reflection and recalibration. We continued our counseling sessions, focusing on maintaining the progress we had made and setting new goals for our relationship and individual growth. The challenges we had faced and the lessons we had learned had strengthened our bond, but it was crucial to remain vigilant and proactive in nurturing our connection. One evening, as we sat together discussing our plans for the future, I felt a sense of clarity. "Michelle, I've been thinking about everything we've been through and where we're headed. I want us to focus on creating a future that reflects our values and the growth we've experienced." Michelle smiled, her expression warm and encouraging. "I agree, Peter. We've come a long way, and it's important that we continue to build on this foundation. Let's set some new goals and keep moving forward together." We began to outline our plans, focusing on ways to integrate our personal values with our professional pursuits. We explored opportunities for collaboration and community involvement that aligned with our shared vision. The goal was not just to maintain the progress we had made but to build a future that was meaningful and fulfilling. As I looked back on the journey from the initial crisis to the present, I was struck by how much we had transformed. The path to redemption had been fraught with challenges, but it had also been filled with moments of profound growth and connection. The collaborative project with Edward was a testament to the power of perseverance and the impact of working together towards a common goal. The road ahead was still uncertain, but the progress we had made offered hope and direction. Our journey was ongoing, and we were committed to navigating it with integrity, empathy, and a shared commitment to making a difference. The lessons learned from our experiences had shaped a new perspective, one that valued both personal and professional growth. As we moved forward, I was reminded that true redemption and growth were not destinations but ongoing processes. The journey required continual reflection, adaptation, and a dedication to living authentically. With each step, we were building a future that reflected our shared values and aspirations, and that was a promise worth striving for. The launch of the collaborative art project was a defining moment. The gallery was abuzz with anticipation as guests arrived to experience the intersection of creativity and social commentary that we had worked so hard to bring to life. Edward and I stood together, our efforts culminating in a display that showcased both emerging artists and the themes we sought to address. The opening night was a whirlwind of activity. Attendees admired the art, engaged in discussions about the social issues it represented, and offered feedback that was overwhelmingly positive. It was clear that the project had resonated with people on a deeper level. The sense of accomplishment was palpable, but so was the weight of what had come before. This success was not just about the project itself but about the journey we had undertaken to reach this point. Michelle joined me at the event, and we took a moment to step outside for some fresh air. "This is incredible, Peter," she said, her eyes reflecting the pride and relief we both felt. "It's amazing to see all our hard work come together like this." I nodded, feeling a mix of satisfaction and exhaustion. It is, but I know we still have a lot of work ahead of us. This project is just one part of our journey. Michelle's expression turned thoughtful. We've made significant progress, but what's next for us? We need to continue building on what we've achieved and not lose sight of our goals. Her insight was a reminder that while the project's success was a milestone, it was not the end of our journey. We had made strides in our personal and professional lives, but maintaining that progress required ongoing effort and commitment. In the weeks following the project's launch, the positive feedback continued to flow. And the impact of the project was evident. Edward's career saw a resurgence of interest, and the collaborative nature of the initiative had fostered new connections and opportunities. It was a gratifying experience to see the fruits of our labor making a difference and contributing to important conversations. For Michelle and me, the post-project period was a time of reflection and recalibration. We continued our counseling sessions, focusing on maintaining the progress we had made and setting new goals for our relationship and individual growth. The challenges we had faced and the lessons we had learned had strengthened our bond, but it was crucial to remain vigilant and proactive in nurturing our connection. One evening, as we sat together discussing our plans for the future, I felt a sense of clarity. Michelle, I've been thinking about everything we've been through and where we're headed. I want us to focus on creating a future that reflects our values and the growth we've experienced. Michelle smiled, her expression warm and encouraging. I agree, Peter. We've come a long way, and it's important that we continue to build on this foundation. Let's set some new goals and keep moving forward together. We began to outline our plans, focusing on ways to integrate our personal values with our professional pursuits. We explored opportunities for collaboration and community involvement that aligned with our shared vision. The goal was not just to maintain the progress we had made but to build a future that was meaningful and fulfilling. As I looked back on the journey from the initial crisis to the present, I was struck by how much we had transformed. The path to redemption had been fraught with challenges, but it had also been filled with moments of profound growth and connection. The collaborative project with Edward was a testament to the power of perseverance and the impact of working together towards a common goal. The road ahead was still uncertain, but the progress we had made offered hope and direction. Our journey was ongoing, and we were committed to navigating it with integrity, empathy, and a shared commitment to making a difference. The lessons learned from our experiences had shaped a new perspective, one that valued both personal and professional growth. As we moved forward, I was reminded that true redemption and growth were not destinations but ongoing processes. The journey required continual reflection, adaptation, and a dedication to living authentically. With each step, we were building a future that reflected our shared values and aspirations. And that was a promise worth striving for. The collaborative project with Edward was gaining momentum, and its success was undeniable. As we moved forward, I began to see how the positive impact extended beyond just the art world. The project's themes resonated with a wider audience, sparking discussions about social issues and the role of art in addressing them. This validation was both gratifying and motivating, reinforcing the belief that our efforts were making a difference. However, with success came new challenges. The increased visibility and interest brought additional scrutiny. While the project's reception was overwhelmingly positive, there were inevitable criticisms and differing opinions. The art world, as ever, remained a place of intense debate and differing perspectives. Balancing the enthusiasm for our work with the need to address criticisms constructively was a delicate task. One afternoon, as I was preparing for a series of interviews related to the project, Michelle and I sat down for a candid discussion. Peter, I've noticed how much pressure we're under right now, she said, her tone reflecting concern. It's important that we stay grounded and remember why we started this journey in the first place. Her words were a timely reminder. Amid the whirlwind of activity, it was easy to become consumed by external validation and lose sight of our core motivations. You're right, I replied. It's crucial to stay focused on our original goals and not let the pressures of success overshadow our commitment to making a meaningful impact. We decided to take a step back and reassess our priorities. Our focus remained on ensuring that the project stayed true to its mission while addressing any constructive feedback that arose. We engaged in open dialogues with critics and supporters alike, aiming to foster an environment of transparency and mutual respect. Simultaneously, we continued to support Edward as he navigated his renewed visibility. His progress was a testament to the transformative power of our collaborative efforts. But it was clear that the journey of rebuilding was ongoing. We worked together to develop strategies for managing public expectations and personal challenges. In our personal lives, Michelle and I maintained our commitment to growth and introspection. Our counseling sessions remained a cornerstone of our relationship, providing valuable insights and helping us navigate the complexities of our evolving journey. We set new goals for our future, focusing on maintaining balance and nurturing our connection. One evening, as we discussed our plans for the coming months, Michelle expressed a sentiment that had been on her mind. "Peter, we've made incredible progress, but I think it's important that we also take time to celebrate our achievements. It's easy to get caught up in the challenges and forget to acknowledge the positive changes." Her observation was a reminder of the importance of celebrating milestones. While the road ahead was still filled with uncertainties, it was essential to recognize and appreciate the successes along the way. We decided to organize a small gathering with close friends and collaborators to celebrate the completion of the project and the progress we had made. The celebration was a joyful and heartfelt occasion. Surrounded by those who had supported us throughout the journey, we took time to reflect on the achievements and express our gratitude. It was a moment of connection and appreciation, reinforcing the bonds that had been forged through our shared experiences. As we moved forward, we continued to embrace the lessons learned from our journey. The challenges and successes had shaped our perspective, guiding us towards a future that balanced personal fulfillment with professional impact. The collaborative project had been a significant milestone, but it was also a starting point for new endeavors and opportunities. Looking ahead, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. The path to redemption and growth was ongoing, and the journey required continual effort and adaptation. The experiences and insights gained from our work with Edward and our personal reflections had equipped us with the tools to navigate the complexities of our lives and careers. The future remained uncertain, but it was filled with promise. As we continued to build on our achievements and strive for meaningful impact, we were committed to staying true to our values and embracing the ongoing process of growth and redemption. Each step forward was a testament to the progress we had made and the potential for continued transformation. The months after our celebration brought both opportunities and trials. The success of the collaborative project had created a new dynamic in my professional and personal life. While the positive feedback was encouraging, it also highlighted the persistent challenges that came with public attention and evolving expectations. One afternoon, as I reviewed feedback from recent events and prepared for upcoming engagements, I received an unexpected phone call from Edward. His voice was tense, and I could tell something was weighing on him. "Peter, I need to talk to you about something important," he said. "It's about the project and some issues we're facing." We arranged to meet at a quiet cafe, away from the usual hustle. Edward arrived looking worn out, and as we settled into a corner booth, he shared his concerns. Despite the project's success, there were growing tensions within the team. Some artists felt that their contributions were not being recognized adequately, and there were disagreements about the direction of future initiatives. "I've been trying to address these issues, but it's been challenging," Edward admitted. "I'm worried that if we don't resolve these conflicts, it could undermine everything we've worked for." His concerns were valid, and it was clear that the project's success had introduced complexities that needed to be managed carefully. "We need to address these issues openly and find a way to move forward together," I suggested. "Let's arrange a meeting with the team to discuss their concerns and work on a plan to resolve them." We organized a team meeting, bringing together the artists and collaborators involved in the project. The discussion was candid, with various viewpoints being expressed. It became evident that there were genuine concerns about recognition and direction. We acknowledged these issues and committed to making adjustments to ensure that everyone's contributions were valued and that future initiatives aligned with our shared goals. The process was not without its difficulties. Navigating the differing opinions and finding common ground required patience and diplomacy. However, the open dialogue helped to address many of the concerns and set the stage for a more collaborative and inclusive approach moving forward. Meanwhile, Michelle and I continued to focus on our own growth and relationship. Our ongoing counseling sessions provided valuable support as we navigated the complexities of our evolving journey. We found solace in our shared commitment to building a future that reflected our values and aspirations. One evening, as we reviewed our progress and discussed our plans for the future, Michelle expressed a thought that had been on her mind. "Peter, it's been a challenging but rewarding journey. I think it's important that we not only focus on our professional goals but also on nurturing the personal aspects of our lives." Her insight was a reminder that the journey was about more than just professional achievements. It was also about maintaining balance and connection in our personal lives. We decided to dedicate more time to our relationship and explore activities that brought us joy and fulfillment outside of our professional pursuits. As we continued to build on our achievements and address the challenges, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. The journey of redemption and growth had taught us valuable lessons about resilience, collaboration, and the importance of maintaining authenticity in the face of external pressures. Looking ahead, I was optimistic about the future. The path forward was filled with opportunities and uncertainties, but we were committed to navigating it with integrity and a focus on meaningful impact. The experiences of the past months had shaped a new perspective, one that valued both personal and professional growth. The journey was ongoing, and each step forward was a testament to the progress we had made and the potential for continued transformation. As we embraced the challenges and opportunities ahead, we remained dedicated to living authentically and pursuing a future that reflected our shared values and aspirations. The tension that had followed the team's feedback meeting eventually settled into a more cooperative and productive atmosphere. The adjustments we made to the project's direction were met with renewed enthusiasm, and the collaborative spirit was rekindled. This positive shift was a testament to our commitment to addressing challenges and valuing every contribution. As the project moved forward, Michelle and I found ourselves reflecting on the journey we had undertaken. The process of rebuilding trust and navigating professional success had been demanding, yet it was also deeply rewarding. We had learned to balance our personal and professional lives in a way that felt both meaningful and fulfilling. One evening, as we relaxed together in our living room, Michelle brought up an idea. "Peter, I've been thinking about how far we've come and how important it is to share our experiences with others. What if we used our story to help others who might be facing similar challenges?" Her suggestion struck a chord with me. We had gained valuable insights from our journey, and sharing these lessons could potentially benefit others. "That's a great idea," I agreed. "We've learned a lot about resilience, collaboration, and personal growth. If we can offer support and inspiration to others, it could be a powerful way to give back." We decided to start a series of talks and workshops focused on the themes of our experience, overcoming adversity, the importance of collaboration, and the journey of personal growth. Our aim was to provide practical advice and emotional support to those navigating their own challenges, using our story as a framework for discussion. The first workshop was an overwhelming success. The participants were engaged and appreciative, and the feedback was positive. It was clear that sharing our experiences resonated with people and provided them with valuable perspectives. We were able to foster meaningful conversations and offer guidance based on our own journey. As we continued with the workshops, we encountered individuals from diverse backgrounds, each with their own unique challenges. Listening to their stories and providing support was both humbling and enlightening. It reinforced the idea that while our journey had been complex, it was also part of a broader human experience. Despite the progress, we still faced moments of doubt and difficulty. The pressures of public life and the responsibility of maintaining our personal growth were ongoing challenges. Yet, the workshops and the connections we made with others provided a renewed sense of purpose and perspective. One day, as I reflected on the impact of our workshops, I realized how much our experiences had shaped our understanding of success and fulfillment. The journey had not only been about achieving professional milestones but also about finding meaning and connection in the process. Michelle and I continued to support each other, drawing strength from our shared experiences and the positive feedback from those we had helped. Our relationship grew stronger as we navigated the complexities of our lives together, and our commitment to making a difference remained steadfast. Looking ahead, I felt a deep sense of fulfillment. The journey of redemption and growth had taught us invaluable lessons, and our efforts to share these lessons with others had created a positive ripple effect. The path forward was still uncertain, but it was filled with promise and potential. As we embraced the future, we remained dedicated to living authentically and pursuing our goals with integrity. The experiences and insights gained from our journey had shaped a new perspective, one that valued both personal and professional growth. Each step forward was a testament to the progress we had made and the commitment to making a meaningful impact. The road ahead was not without its challenges, but it was also filled with opportunities for continued transformation. As we moved forward, we did so with a sense of hope and determination, ready to embrace whatever came next and to continue making a difference in the lives of others. The momentum from our workshops continued to build, and the positive feedback reinforced the value of our efforts. As we delved deeper into our mission of sharing our experiences, we realized that the impact of our work extended beyond just the workshops themselves. The connections we made with individuals and the stories they shared highlighted the universal nature of the challenges we had faced and the solutions we had found. One afternoon, while preparing for an upcoming workshop, Michelle and I discussed the potential for expanding our reach. "Peter, we've had such a positive response from our workshops," she said. "What if we consider creating an online platform to reach even more people? We could offer resources, forums, and additional support for those who can't attend our events in person." Her idea resonated deeply with me. An online platform could provide a broader audience with access to our insights and support, allowing us to continue making a difference in a more accessible way. "That's a fantastic idea," I agreed. "An online platform could significantly extend our reach and impact. Let's start planning how we can develop this." We began the process of creating the platform, working with a team of developers and designers to build a space that would offer valuable resources and facilitate meaningful connections. The goal was to create a user-friendly environment where individuals could access articles, participate in discussions, and find support related to personal and professional growth. As the platform took shape, we also continued our in-person workshops and talks. Each event provided us with new insights and allowed us to refine our approach based on participant feedback. The combination of in-person and online support created a holistic approach to addressing the challenges we had faced and offering guidance to others. One evening, as we reviewed the progress of the online platform, I received an email from a participant in one of our workshops. The message expressed gratitude for the impact our work had on their life. They shared how our discussions had helped them navigate a difficult period and make positive changes in their personal and professional life. The heartfelt note was a powerful reminder of why we had embarked on this journey. Michelle and I took a moment to reflect on the impact of our work. "It's incredible to see how our efforts are making a difference in people's lives," Michelle said. "It's a reminder of the importance of staying true to our mission and continuing to support those who need it." Her words were a testament to the journey we had undertaken and the commitment we had made to using our experiences for the greater good. The online platform and the ongoing workshops represented the culmination of our efforts to turn our challenges into opportunities for growth and support for others. Looking ahead, we were excited about the possibilities that the platform offered. We envisioned expanding the range of resources and services available, including webinars, interactive workshops, and personal coaching. Our aim was to create a comprehensive support system that addressed the diverse needs of our audience. As we moved forward with these plans, we remained focused on maintaining the balance between our personal and professional lives. The journey of growth and redemption was ongoing, and we were committed to navigating it with integrity and dedication. Each step of our journey had reinforced the importance of resilience, collaboration, and authenticity. The experiences and insights we had gained had shaped a new perspective, one that valued both personal and professional development. With a renewed sense of purpose, we embraced the future with optimism. The path ahead was filled with opportunities and challenges, but we were prepared to face them with the same determination and commitment that had guided us thus far. As we continued to build on our achievements and explore new avenues for impact, we remained dedicated to living authentically and making a meaningful difference in the lives of others.